Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include Activision Blizzard stock plummeting, New World hemorrhaging players, some strange Diablo 2 Resurrected bugs, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Now before we move on, just a quick word from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. I built my website Riker.com using Squarespace, and I was able to do everything myself quickly and easily and with zero education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Watch how easily I update my Diablo 3 page to add the new Season 25 info. Just a few intuitive clicks, no knowledge of coding required, absolutely painless. I've never had an easier time making a professional looking website. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. And Squarespace is currently offering my viewers 10% off your first purchase with them. Just go to squarespace.com/Riker or click the link in the description to sign up and start building your online presence. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Riker to get started today. In our first story, we got this week a 15-minute gameplay preview video for upcoming RPG Elden Ring. As expected from the devs of Dark Souls, it does look very much like Dark Souls 4, but in the best ways. There is, however, a clearer focus on exploration in the big open-world environments, more diverse gameplay, and the world doesn't feel as dark as that in Dark Souls. The gameplay looks like a base of Dark Souls 3 mixed with Sekiro, and then expanded upon. And magic is looking more impressive than the company's past games. Elden Ring releases February 25th on Xbox, PlayStation, and Windows. On to Activision Blizzard news. If you missed our midweek update video, we covered in that one the big news that one of Blizzard's new co-leaders is already stepping down, and Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 are being delayed beyond the planned internal release date of 2022. You can check out that video for the full details on that, but as a follow-up, Activision Blizzard stock dropped pretty significantly after the shareholder meeting in which they shared this news. The stock was trading at $78 a share before the meeting and plummeted to $63 right after. This dropped it to the lowest the stock has been since May 2020 and is a direct result of the company revealing that they won't be making that sweet Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 money in 2022. As well as them saying that Q4 revenue will be less than what analysts have been predicting. And to clarify, the reason for the delay of Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 have to do with the changes of leadership on both teams, according to Blizzard boss Mike Ibarra. Overwatch has lost a number of important leaders throughout 2021, and Diablo 4's lead seems to have been removed amidst the ongoing scandal. However, if they were previously targeting 2022 with their internal dates, and I know some people are like, lol, how can a game with no release date be delayed? And the answer is, they may not have a public release date, but they always have internal projected release dates. Anyway, if they were previously targeting 2022, then 2023 is surely their next target. In fact, Overwatch 2 is what will be played during the Overwatch League of 2022, so the game is ready enough for that. I think they're just trying to give themselves enough time for polish for both titles, because more than ever, Blizzard needs a win now. Now, onto the topic of co-leader Jen O'Neill stepping down. It seems this came as a shock to employees, and is affecting morale, right after last week's morale boost in the form of Activision Blizzard's announcement regarding positive actions taken towards employees and their well-being. A source inside Activision Blizzard told PC Gamer this week that they witnessed an overall positive response to last week's announcement, even though the timing of it was suspect. A positive headline right before the Q3 financials call, However, that source says that O'Neill stepping down after only 3 months has killed any morale boost from the previous week. For some, O'Neill was one of the reasons they believed in a brighter future for Blizzard, which has led to speculation regarding why she's leaving so quickly and what may not have been said in her official statement on the matter. One important thing that journalist Jason Schreier has pointed out is that the issues arising from this scandal revolve around cultural issues that developed years ago, during Blizzard's golden days, whereas a lot of current Blizzard employees are trying to improve things at the company. The reality is that over the past 10 years, and most recently, there have been so many senior ranking Blizzard people that have left, some of which include some of the worst alleged offenders in the scandals. On to some news about New World, Amazon's MMO that launched last month. After all the hype surrounding this title, it appears to be hemorrhaging players, having lost over 500,000 players since launch. As per the Steam charts, all-time peak concurrent player numbers reached 913,000 shortly after its September 28th launch. But over the last 30 days, those numbers have dropped to 390,000 on average, and continue to trend downward every week, with the latest peak numbers sitting at just under 300,000. Now, it's normal for games to trend downward over time, but MMOs are meant to have greater retention than the average game. An MMO isn't a game that you finish in 3 weeks and then move on to the next game. They're designed to keep you playing indefinitely. And the numbers are saying that over 2/3 of people who tried New World have stopped playing barely a month after launch. Now you might ask, why? Well, as per the players, it seems the game is just a mess. They say the endgame lacks PvE content, the PvP, which is all that you can do really at endgame, is unbalanced, there isn't enough story to engage with, there's tons of frustrating bugs and exploits like being able to become invulnerable in a PvP-centric game, or deliberately lagging out the game, or fully healing yourself by crouching a couple times, or easily dodging account bans, or even entering code into the chat box to make other people's games crash. Now, the game does a good job of acting like a great game early on and can provide dozens of hours of entertainment, but players eventually seem to be reaching a point where the issues become apparent and too difficult to ignore. Now, dozens of hours of entertainment is good value for money in general. For a single-player RPG, that would be amazing, but for an MMORPG, you expect more than that. Now, on the topic of the exploits, it was discovered last week that in any text box in the game where players can type things into, it is possible for players to input HTML code that will actually run. In IT speech, the text is not being sanitized. So players have been using this to black out chat with huge image embeds, crash games, and allegedly this can even be abused in a way to get infinite gold. Now you might think, okay, games have exploits, it'll be patched. Sure, I'm sure it will. It seems like it should be easy enough to do. But sanitizing text is a super basic thing. An IT risk consultant spoke to Ivan Global on the matter and said, quote, "Every developer at Amazon Game Studio should be ashamed of themselves for letting this go live. It's hard to understate how incompetent this is. Like, they would teach you not to do this in a bleeping high school web dev class." A web dev on Reddit said that sanitizing user inputs is rule number 1, and confirmed that it will be taught in a high school level class. Quote, "I refuse to believe every developer they have is that incompetent. Someone, probably lots of someones, raised this issue and were ignored and told to work on something else." Now, while this Amazon game isn't doing so well, there is another that has a lot of promise. Lost Ark. It's technically not an Amazon game, but the Western publisher is Amazon Game Studios. We got the Lost Ark beta trailer reveal this week, as well as the launch of closed beta, which will run until November 11th. The game itself will launch in early 2022, and if any of you have had a chance to play in the beta, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm hoping to find time to play myself because I've had my eyes on this title for a long time. And for those of you playing, Redditor LuckyStart1 posted a helpful beginner guide for the beta, which I'll link in the description below. In other ARPG news, the last Epoch devs have been posting updates about the druid overhaul they're working on, including revealing updated skill trees and visuals for his different forms. In Wolcen news, the devs released a bug fix patch and posted an update stating that their next content patch will come in late November or early December and feature that new endgame system that they've been talking about, which they gave a sneak peek of. In Grim Dawn news, the devs have released a massive patch featuring their largest changelog ever. Big props to them for continuing to support what is a great ARPG. The patch includes a massive list of improvements to the game's balance that will, quote, "hopefully give you many more opportunities to create your unstoppable monster slayers." And on to Diablo news, starting with Diablo 3. The test server for upcoming Season 25 went live this week and will run for 2 weeks. I have a full video on the patch notes if you haven't seen it, but in short, the season theme involves 7 new socketable items called soul shards, 1 for each of the 7 great evils. The 3 prime evils each have a shard that can be put into a helm socket, and the 4 lesser evils have shards that go into weapon sockets. And they're all crazy powerful. Shards can be upgraded 3 times. At base level, they include 1 specific legendary power that they always roll with, which includes a buff and a penalty. By max rank, they include the effects of all regular gems placed in that item slot, plus one random primary affix like strength or all resist, plus a second special legendary power that modifies the primary legendary power. Each shard has 3 possible secondary legendary powers, which Redditor Gaming Ryan 235 has done a wonderful job of displaying in some graphics. I'll have a full video going through all of these, but I do expect to see balance changes happening on the PTR as testing feedback comes back to the devs. Overall, I'd say it's an interesting system, and I see different shards that could be useful for different kinds of builds, including support builds. Onto Immortal news. Beta has been running for about a week now, and while I haven't had a ton of time to play, I'm enjoying the implementation of the necromancer, who seems to have the greatest range of playstyles of any class. I find myself moving in for melee attacks, falling back to shoot spells at range, summoning minions, and I suspect that the Bone Wall will be a ridiculously powerful skill in PvP for control purposes, and I can't wait to try that out. Meanwhile, Wowhead has datamined some angelic armor sets, which they believe may be cosmetics available in the in-game shop at a future time. Cosmetics are one of the only types of microtransactions that I'm totally fine with, and it seemed Immortal wouldn't have any until this beta saw a cosmetic tab pop up. In Diablo 2 Resurrected news, after rigorous community testing, it seems that for unknown reasons, the Sorceress's Firewall skill is dealing more damage in D2R than it was in Diablo 2. And my question for you folks is, do you want Blizzard to fix this, or leave it as it is? Firewall wasn't an OP skill before, so this does somewhat shake up the meta. Sound off in the comments. Now, an important issue has been found and figured out by the Planet Diablo community. You see, the save file for a D2R character has a specific max file size, which is the same as it was for regular D2. However, we have more stash space in D2R, so save files can be bigger than they were in D2. Now, this has allegedly resulted in characters randomly losing items once they possess more items than the save file can handle. So if you've had items disappear on you, this may be why. Now, different items take up different sizes. A potion, for instance, is something with a very small file size, but rare and crafted items are quite big. And that explains why some people have been experiencing this and others have not. Hopefully this one is resolved quickly. And in some late-breaking news, a new patch has released for Diablo 2 Resurrected. The game client will now scale the rate at which players can join and create games based on server capacity, basically meaning that if it's a time of low traffic, you should be able to join and create games faster. They've also added in-game messaging to communicate how much time is left before a player can join or create another game, so you don't have to keep hitting join, join, join until eventually you get through. You'll know exactly how long you have to wait. And they also added join create game rate refunding, so that if a player joins a game that is full, in addition to other cases, they will now be able to immediately try to join another game rather than being limited. Great changes. Again, these are all hopefully temporary measures, but it's great changes to these temporary measures. And lastly, Carbon has released another episode of Diablo. We're going to save Anya. And that's going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out our last video in which we discuss why Blizzard's co-leader is stepping down. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.